Hello, everyone. Welcome to the World Environment Day webinar by Tayaba organization. We're going to be wrapping up June with an insightful discussion on the thematic that we've been focusing on, beating plastic pollution. Now, when we look at the globe and then we look at Pakistan, we see Pakistan as one of the top fifth climatically vulnerable country, and simultaneously we're looking at Pakistan in one of the top plastic production centers or hubs. We're producing around 65% of the total plastic that we're producing. That's around 3 million tons every year. It lands up into oceans, rivers, and water bodies. By 2050, it's projected that globally there would be more plastic in these water bodies than fish. I mean, that's alarming to hear in itself. We talk about plastic bags that are still very commonly and normally used in everyday life. And do we even realize that it takes around 500 years for that plastic bottle or plastic bag to just decompose? And when we talk about plastic pollution, we're not talking about a litter problem. We were talking about a problem that's affecting health and that's causing inequality. So that is going to be the center of our discussion around with global experts today at the webinar. With myself, I have Mishal from the H2O team, and we'll now formally be beginning with this webinar, focusing first on the research and academia side to how do we make H2O zero waste solutions? How do we now move towards zero waste solutions when it comes to beating plastic pollution? So over to you, Mishal.
Hello everyone, I'm Mishal from Team Tayaba, and today we are going to have a holistic discussion about plastic pollution and how can we deal with it. So with us we have Mr. Talha Tufail Bhatti, who is the Research Officer, Climate Change at the Institute of Regional Studies, Pakistan. He's working on strengthening regional climate resilience right now, and he has a lot of experience dealing with plastic pollution and dealing with regional issues, how we can use regional collaboration to deal with the plastic pollution crisis. So over to you, Mr. Talha. Please share your insights with us and it is, um, you
Okay,
have to
okay.
unmute.
Yeah. So thank you so much for this kind introduction, and I'm very happy. My apologies that I do not have the background as my rest of the peers, but yeah, I mean, I tried my best to make it happen. So before moving forward, let me share the presentation, and please do let me know that you can see it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we
Yes,
can
we
see your screen now.
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to talk about that. What are the 4 hours? So we just need to wrap this up as quickly as possible because these 6 hours are very fundamental and they are here for a very long time now. We are moved into the advanced stage. That's where I feel like we entered into the era of consequences. That era is actually where we need to understand that what we actually did in the last 150 years and what are the chances of understanding where we are, what are the realities where we are. So my name is Talat Falberti. I'm environmentalist. I'm assistant research officer for an Institute of Regional Studies, and I look after this region. This is the logo of my institute. So I look after Iran, Afghanistan, China, Nepal, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and I look into the ocean and find out what are the global trends of the climate change and how we can position ourselves in a manner where we can move forward in that direction. And before moving forward, I just wanted to show you the humanity journey on the planet Earth, like how we ended up here. And if you look at the last 400,000 years, we came to know that the planet actually changed its temperature from -4 to +2 degrees. That's the maximum that planet did in the last, if it took bad time in the 400,000 years. But when we entered into the safe climate space, what we call the Holocene, or if you look into the last 20,000 years, we came to know that the planet itself, for the first time, entered into the age of Adam, now, or the Garden of Eden, what we call it. That at that point, the planetary system are on a very precise scale, and they are repetitive, they are predictable, and that is why we developed what the greatest revolution, which is the agriculture one. And that agriculture one started our journey into the human civilization which we are today. Every language you know, every song you have heard, or every culture, every society, every religion is developed in the last 12,000 years or 10,000 years. So now when we entered into the last phase of humanity, or what I believe that after 1850, we are the curious species. So we have this tendency to develop uh, our curiosity, and once we have that curiosity enough, we tend to move into the path-based direction. That how we can expand ourselves at the maximum level, and that capacity gives us what we have in the industrial revolution. And now once we entered into it, we came to know that we can expand ourselves with the help of hydrocarbons, and then we expand it like there was no tomorrow. I mean, in the great acceleration, we started from $9 trillion and ended up in 2020 around to $133 trillion. I'm quoting Financial Times here. The population was increased from 2.5 to 8 billion. What I believe, like, we only increase the consumers into the society rather than any other thing. Because if you look at the choices we have right now, we have 4 degree, we have 3 degree, and we have 2 degree. We tend to believe that we can control the temperatures under 1.5, which is the threshold limit of the Paris Agreement. But the way we are moving right now, if we even put up the handbrake of it, we are still going to we are still going to jump from this cliff, which we call the carbon or the humanity emissions. And why I'm saying this, because I'm giving you this perspective because you have to understand that what is the current reality of the planet itself. When you look at the planet, the oceans are the thermostat of it. And once the oceans are now the oceans are not even warm; they're boiling. I mean, look at the red line into the surface. Now, this redness is the sea surface temperatures, which are boiling right now. They are not even warming. So they have a serious impact on all the other things. And now we have a certain trajectory in which we need to move in the age of Anthropocene, or what we call in the age of consequences. So now we have the choice to save land back into the safe working future, or we can go into the unsafe hothouse Earth case scenario in which the temperatures are beyond our own understanding. And at this point, we currently we are at the transformational movement. Now is the time. The next 5 years before 2030, we have that space in which we can do something. But then afterwards, we don't have it if we go into the business as usual, because the recent analysis actually told us that every last indicator of climate change, global climate change in 2024, have increased. Look into the CO2, methane, nitrogen oxide, pick any one indicator. In 10, they are all increased. And that's alarming. And the why this is alarming, because of our consumption pattern. And in regards to plastic, I want to show you something.
Coke has abandoned its goal for a world without waste and doubled down on using more single-use plastic, all while scientific reports are finding more threats to the
Mr. Talha, we cannot see your screen. So, like, we have the first slide of era of consequence. I think you'll have to move it. Yeah, it's good now. Thank you.
You haven't seen anything in previous. Okay. Just give me a minute. I think I have to stop this thing. My apologies for this.
No worries. Yeah.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this was the time which I was talking about, that the last 400,000 years, then 20,000 years, and then the current time scale. This is the thermostat, the planet ocean temperatures which are currently right now. This is the trajectory we need to follow into the safe Holocene like conditions, or into the hothouse world. And this is the time frame which I mentioned is the time which we have right now, the transformational moment, because every indicator is increasing, and this is why it is increasing.
Coke has abandoned its goal for a world without waste and doubled down on using more single-use plastic, all while scientific reports are finding more threats to the oceans and human health. They even walked away from a commitment to increase reusable packaging, which would have allowed the company to dramatically reduce single-use plastic. It doesn't make sense. A peer-reviewed study found that Coca-Cola was the #1 polluter of branded plastic found in the environment. Coke's plastic packaging totaled an incredible 7.6 billion pounds in 2023, enough plastic to wrap around the world more than 100 times. The type of plastic used to make Coke's bottles, PET, was found in half of the samples from a 2022 study detecting microplastics in human blood for the first time. As the company's revenue grows, so does its use of plastic. And if nothing changes, Oceana found that the company's plastic packaging could exceed 9.1 billion pounds per year by 2030. 1.3 billion pounds of this plastic packaging could enter the world's waterways and oceans. That's enough to fill the stomachs of 18 million blue whales. It's time for Coke to move away from single-use plastic and to protect our oceans and health by recommitting to reuse and a world without waste.
So this is why the plastic is the main problem, because now we have this particular peer-reviewed published evidence that this plastic is present into human body, not only into human body, into brain, into our stomach, into our blood, and there is no ending to it. It will persist over there. And according to climate integrity report, we consume around 1 or 5 gram of plastic within a week now. This is alarming. We have plastic in our rain, in food, in air, everywhere we go. So this is the problem itself, that the consumption pattern we achieved in the last 70 years of the consumerism or in the Anthropocene is the main problem. It turns into microplastic which enter into our body, as you can see this. And now, just forget about the production side. We have 7 billion tons of the waste of the plastic. 7 billion tons. It's not a small number. It's a very big number. So which is actually alarming. And to be very honest, we usually heard from the pet industry or these single-use plastic industry that it can be recycled, but no, it is not. 9% of it, max 14% of it can be recycled. And again, in recycling, there is only downscaling of it. There is only, like, we can use once or twice that plastic, which is only the 9% of it, but we cannot consume all of it. There are 13,000 particles which are present. And now we are hitting to 1 billion ton a year. So the last 40 years we are alarming about it, and now we reached at the point where we are tipping off to the natural systems. Now these are the 9 to 10 tipping points which are present, and these points are tipping off due to these consumption patterns. And once we take the planet to the doctors and to look after that, what are the conditions right now, and we came to know that 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries are out of safe working limit, and climate change is just one of them. Remember it. Introduction of novel entities like plastic into the system are beyond to our even working limit. So this is not even controllable now, and because of this we are collapsing multiple natural systems, in which the AMOC is one of the biggest threats we have. And if this tipping point tipped off, we are not turning back into the system. And let's talk about Pakistan. Like, what is the state of the Pakistan in regards to plastic pollution? We have 11,000 households which are connected to these things. 11,000. जिनका रोजी रोटी इससे जुड़ी हुई है. So that's why it is a very big problem. I mean, we consume the plastic of the world. We import plastic of the world to mine into different things. And why we do this? Because 65% of that plastic is production processing units are in Punjab, and they contribute 15% to your GDP. We usually talk about that agriculture is the backbone of the society. Why? Because it contributes to 24% into the GDP, or 19 to 24%, and consume a lot of the labor into it. In the similar regard, plastic is contributing around 15%, and 11,000 small, medium, and large households are connected to it. So we need to shift ourselves before, if we really want to decouple, we need to shift this thing. The investors are still very promising. The investment is still very promising. Like, if you invest into plastic, you will certainly gain certain profits. And that's where the amount is 500 billion rupees are there annually into the domestic market. And that's why I'm saying these realities are horrible in certain extents, because you cannot change this thing. There are directly, indirectly 500,000 peoples or near to 2 million peoples which are connected to it. So I always say this, that my passion is to understand what are the conditions right now, and that's the same message I want to give it to you. In this program or in this institute, I look after what are the reasons which can make a life more meaningful, and talking about or telling about the people as it is one of them, because truth have many perspectives. When you meet economists, they will tell you that plastic is not a problem, it's a model of the business. We can consume it into a different pattern, but again, we need to remember what we are dealing with. This novel entity will not end by ending the consumption. We have 7 billion tons of it into the ocean, 7 billion tons of it. So there is a future. Certainly, there is a future, but it's a different one, whatever choices we made right now. Either we can go to 1.1, which is remarkably challenging for us right now, the conditions we are looking at 2 degree and 3 degree, and that's not a very fair conditions for us. And why I'm saying this, because we need to decouple ourselves, because they and just look into this. I'm telling you, there's a hole into our board, that we cannot use plastic, we cannot construct plastic, and we cannot do anything. But due to misinformation and disinformation, every person have their own particular opinion. The Exxon petrochemical industries are the biggest clients. Plastic industry is the biggest client of the petro industry, and that's the same industry which is responsible for climate change. And that's the same thing that developed into the plastic production side. Back in 1970s, or back in the first paper which is published for the CO2 emissions, that they're going to increase the temperatures back in 1890. The first solar panels were constructed back in 1915. So afterwards, everything which we have right now, the every argument which we receive into the market is only based on the information which is by by fundings floated into the market, and that's what we have. We have a hole in our boat. I'm telling you right now, but we need to, we need to get all the other narratives, because if we really want to input into, if we really want to go into that side, we need 400 billion for the first year. And that's why I'm saying this. In the last, I want to show you this. So we have only one planet which we need to look after. There's no planet B. There's no other home place what we call home. We need to look into this, and we need to look into a direction where we can sustain, not for ourselves, but for the generations yet to come. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mr. Talha. This was a very comprehensive introduction to the plastic problem, and you have really explained that why is this year's theme Beat Plastic Pollution. Now, let's move on to the next segment, which is Help through Ecopreneurs. Now, we want to look at solutions. And today with us, we have some entrepreneurs who are working on these solutions, who are solving the climate problem in a sustainable way while making it economically efficient. So, first of all, let's hear from Mr. Hasanka, joining us from Sri Lanka, who is a social entrepreneurship mentor, and he also is a social entrepreneur himself. Over to you, Mr. Hasanka.
Hi everyone. It's lovely to get into your program and in terms of today's topic, be it plastic. So I find it very relevant for the perspectives because we all are like in one planet connecting the previous speakers thing. So as we don't have planet B. So the population is booming. So Sri Lanka, we have 20.7 million people, and then Pakistan, many millions more than that, and also in the globe, it's billions, 8 billion people. So all of us have to eat and then have to dress and then have to do a lot of like physicals and then food related stuff. And that's where plastic came into existence after discovery of these starch-based things. Then it gradually grew because it has different characters. So the durability, the less contamination, affordability, scalability, that quality is really talked on behalf of plastics, where businesses were more focused on profits because the P&L talk about the more profits you earn, the business is good. We didn't factor that the typical market economic conditions didn't factor the ecological cost. That's where the issue came into the picture. We managed to focus on our convenience and the more financial perspectives, and for some reasons we all forget the harm we created to this environment by using plastic. I think it's a management issue. uh, we know plastic has different qualities, and again same times we know plastic has different repercussions related to humans, related to marine ecosystems, related to social and economical and biological stuff. So let's take this issue as a management issue. So the management issue is we don't have technology in terms of collection. We don't have scales in terms of collection. We don't have knowledge, awareness about the types of plastic. And then we don't have such technologies. We do have lesser amount technologies. Sometimes it will vary based on the country technology adaptations. So if you get rural areas, you don't find a lot of technologies, but in terms of industrial areas, you find technology. Based on that, again, even the collection doesn't take as intended. So we have a collection issue because people use these items from supermarkets to boutiques to other stuff, and then we consume the items, and then only the plastic is a worry or a pain point where to which point we will go and dispose this. So people, some are responsible, some are irresponsible. People slightly throw it away after consumption, and then if not, they're trying to remove it from their own home or the land plot. That's where these provincial councils to local authorities and the government sector has to get into this, and then try to and also the businesses, and try to make a value addition, and then trying to take it through the typical linear model where you collect, you then transport it, and then you either incinerate it or then send it to the landfill. So this is what happens in typical business era. So that's where the real opportunity comes into play. So I think when we hear the last presentation, so I think Tufal has shown the numbers and emphasize on the importance of the problem and the impact, right? So we know that the problem exists, but the thing is the typical current business model does not facilitate for my understanding, it doesn't facilitate this plastic problem. So because sometimes the facilitation has limited, because plastic after consumption it get contaminated, then there's a lot of washing element comes to play, and there's a sorting thing has to come to play, and the transportation issue. So that's where the real problem is. If you get the problem analysis, transportation, segregation, logistic issues, and then cleansing issues, which consume a lot of effort and energy, and also money, finance, to get it way back into the recycling. That's where we will hear from the entire world that lesser amount of plastic being recycled. It's pretty typically it's less than 20% in lot of scenarios. So that's where we need to focus on circularity. So if you want to start something on this thought process, that's where the eco entrepreneurs or so-called social entrepreneurs or so-called green entrepreneurs can really make value addition out of it. So we'll start from beating plastic from the typical waste hierarchy, the prevention, reduction, and reusing, and then recycling. So we'll start from prevention. That's where anyone can do this thing. So we can go into alternatives. So alternatives are there, but the thing is, it is not financially uh, attractive. Sometimes you can go into cornstarch base. You can go into manioc starch base. You can go into seaweed base, or avocado based materials, or you can go into wood, you can go into paper, you can go into cloth, which whatever the stuff which can replace plastic, it's the first option. Even the glass might have different environmental issues. There might be the footprint might be rather higher than the plastic, but glass is also it's a very good option. So let's focus on promoting these alternative methodologies and technologies, products and solutions to reduce the plastic usage. There are circumstances where you can't reduce, you can't prevent plastic. Plastic has to be there. Then the product design element comes in. So if you are a brand owner, then you can look in to see how good you can reduce the plastic amount, the amount of consumption. You can make it more thin, you can make it more light, and you can use different properties, characters, different types of plastic. If you go in LDP, if you go in the PP, HDP, then you can reduce the millimeters in terms of the girth or whatever the parameters, and make it more light. So initially, if the brand has consumed 2,000 metric tons, if you can come up with a slight innovation, reducing the height or the length or some sort of things, or if you can come up with a different bottling sizes, rather than stopping 100 ml and going 1 liter, is again a saving. So that's where the design comes in, product designing comes in, and come up with innovations that also we can practice. And then we'll go into reuse. So reuse again is a solutions where once you use it, sometimes you might use it into a different thing, and then another industry will use your materials in terms of their production. And then applying glue, the packaging, the printing, again you can use wisely to reduce plastic issue. Sometimes the ink you use, sometimes the glue you use in terms of plastic packages might harden the recycling process. So if you go into recycling, you need to make your product more compatible for recycling. So the more the compatibility, it will need lesser energy or lesser effort for recycling. So when we do recycling, that's again up to a lot of young people or industries to get into this, because we need more and more uh, materials, rather than going into this finite resource, the crude oil. the security comes on that, because I talk loudly on security because I'm not a fact. Even we shout out that we need to stop plastic. My personal view is the miracle material is there. It's pretty much expensive. So we somehow the typical business model will still prefer plastics. That's why there were the rough frameworks and policies coming into play, but still it's in existence. So, and then the last but not least, we do have pyrolysis and also energy, rather than getting these plastic into sanitary or landfill, sanitary landfills or other informal landfills. So if you get pyrolysis, again, you can create crude oil and then use coming up with a meaningful thing, which still these in your and in then the incineration, again you can incinerate and make energy out of it, cement killing and power generations, and then you can use it. But we need to be mindful that these innovation also have negative environmental impact. So if you go into the top of the hierarchy, the pyramid, which is the prevention, that is the cure. But it's many people do not focus on that because of the convenience, because of uh, money and different other reasons. And then if you can't do that, then the designs will do the magic. If you can't do the that also, then you have to go into recycling. And then if not, ultimate stuff are pyrolysis and incineration. And then there may be even said that the all the solutions, some has to go into landfills if you get it certain things into practical perspectives. But uh, but still there's a hope. The hope lies with collaboration and also awareness, and also may and reinforcing the polluter pay principles with very strong logistic provisions. So and then subsidizing more biodegradable solutions, and subsidizing and encouraging, incentivizing a lot of eco-friendly 100% compostable degradable solutions might do the ultimate magic. I would say it's still a magic, because we talk about a lot of numbers and we hear very lesser numbers in terms of prevention, in terms of reuse, in terms of recycling. So it's a magic. It's a very hard, difficult thing to do, but world moves on. Let's keep a faith on the change. Unless we believe on the change, it won't be seeded in this world. So let's make sure that we'll we'll raise awareness among Southeastern countries to global South to other parties, that somehow we need to preserve this world for the unborn child, right? And then the coming generation. So we need to make sure that plastic does not reach beaches, which will create a lot of islands, and then a lot of birds to fish to lot of mammals, they eat a lot of plastic, knowingly or unknowingly. Even if you get Sri Lanka, well, our like elephants are now endangered with plastic uh, uh, eating, and then a lot of marine ecosystem is damaged. So likewise, we can talk a lot in these things, but I think you, I as a person, we as a team, and you as citizens in this world has to be more responsible, that the prevention is the key element. If you want to stop plastic, if you want to beat plastic, so you have to change. First, you need to start source segregation from your house. And then if you are a person who having a sound business management background or passion, especially the passion to preserve this world, that's where you start a eco business to come up with innovative solutions to tackle plastic pollutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sank. I think that was very detailed and also on how we need to start from the first step. I think how Mr. Talha was talking about the transformation phase that's shrinking and we need to act quick. I think innovations like these, when we have to start from the very first step, it's very important. And I think we'd love to mention here how Taiba has been so into this value because all of our solutions are food gradable, they're sustainable. When it comes to the H2O wheel that has been helping water transportation, it's a completely food gradable material and that comes with the product design. As Mr. Hasanka mentioned, that you need to look at the product, how do you need to incorporate the cost effectiveness element as well as the environment. So all of the planning around H2O wheel was done alongside that. And later, when we went into sanitation and we came with the hygiene kits, which we will be later talking about in detail as well, with reusable pads to actually substitute the plastic disposable pad. That was also again in the design of the product. And then to make it cost effective, it was at the rural community, the grassroots level to also empower them. So it has to do a lot with the sort of initiatives that are coming up. And with that, we'd love to transition to Ma'am Kashyap, if you want to take the floor now and talk about EcoBricks that has been working at the recycling, at the transformational end, as to say, with replacing plastic with recycling plastic into very eco-friendly products like eco planters. So how has your experience been? How did you start? Why did you think of this challenge as a very big issue? And now, when it comes to EcoBricks, with the product design, with the innovation and sustainability, do you think this ecosystem is supportive? It's thriving? What sort of hopes and solutions do you see here?
Thank you so much, Zoha, for the brief introduction and having me here. So, there's a lot of questions, so I'll start one by one. I started EcoBricks when I was in my eighth semester and I was doing mechanical engineering from Islamabad, that is the capital city of Pakistan. And so I'm from a very humble and small background and small hometown in Pakistan, Sargodha. So I used to see a lot of trash like in every corner of street, and it was a very common practice in households to just burn the plastic waste. If no one is picking it up and no one is coming to clean the waste, just gather all of it and just lit the fire, and it's all vanished. So that was a common practice I've seen. But I thought that it's just the common practice in my rural area or my small hometown, but that wasn't the case. It's everywhere. So I started thinking like, what is the solution? Why this problem even exists? Like the garbage picker is there. We have a recycling units and facilities, and Pakistan is doing a great business in waste management. So I realized that when we did further research that plastic is getting recycled, the one that is collected, and that can be readjusted or repurposed in some way. It can be fibers, it can be recycled part. So that happened, and that is happening. But the problem is with low value plastics like shopping bags, single use plastics, containers, that didn't get recycled. So as our previous speakers told about, like there should be a collection and sorting mechanism, and that there should be the responsibility at our end how we can beat this plastic pollution. It all starts from very tiny steps, that we need to sort and segregate all of the plastic that can be recycled or that cannot be. So the things that cannot be recycled, like shopping bags, single-use plastics, your food packagings, majority of the food packaging goes in open dumping. It includes shopping bags, it includes your chips packets, your juices that intake. So all of that we target at EcoBricks. What we make from out of it is planters and tiles. How we do it? We have certain ratios and certain temperatures on which we maintain its integrity, and we don't let it lose its properties as a plastic. And what we do is we separate every element according to its compositions, if either it's a type of PP, HDPE, LDPE. So we mainly focus on the LDPE, PP types of plastic. And the end materials have other composites like sand, cement, and some other not cement, like sand and other mixtures that are included in the construction materials. One of them is fly ash. So we make a mixture and it then get cured in within an hour or two. After that, we it is fully ready to deploy anywhere. That's what we do at Ecobricks. And it all started when I was doing my bachelor's, and it's our second year now, like second 2.5 years actually, third year actually. So we have established our own manufacturing unit in which we have a recycling facility. We have a collection mechanism that is supporting regions like Punjab and the capital city of Pakistan. After that, we have partnered with big organizations that are making these plastic packagings. So you need to, identify the problem, and you need to go to those people who are generating that problem as well, because it's their social responsibility. Though we are in a very developing areas and with the developing countries, lots of people don't put a lot of pressure on them, and that's how the business works everywhere. So they were very keen and interested in getting their waste recycled. So it was another revenue stream for us, like Tetra Pak, and there is a company like EcoLink packages groups in Pakistan. We have partnered with, and we are recycling their plastic waste officially. Then we are working with government of Pakistan as well, because government of Pakistan is providing the free meal packages to students, and all of the waste is getting burned or you know laid down in the environment, and it's not getting recycled at all. That was the reports. We took the initiative with them and we started recycling all of the waste. We started collecting from the school classes, and we educated people, students, that the primary age students, that you need to collect the waste. You don't need to discard it, and you have to completely drink or the complete the food, so that it is easy to recycle it. So that's the planning and strategy that we are doing at our end, and it's doing a great job. Right now we are recycling tons of plastic every day, and we are making planters, not just adding a recycled product, but also adding value for corporates and for the consumer, those are buying it. So corporates have a great value by these planters, because they can give them as a sustainable and corporate gift to their network, and it helps them to achieve their sustainability goals. Second, the third most thing that we do is we take industrial waste from the industry. Like the company Tetra Pak wants that we use their industrial waste, the industry that they're manufacturing the waste. It has a waste, like they're making a product and it has some waste generated. So we are taking all of the plastic waste from them as well, and we are recycling it into products. So we have two products in line, like the tiles for the wall cladding, and we are doing the all the wall claddings right now for schools and infrastructure developments for government. And the second thing is the planter that I have told you. What we want to basically do is we want to make a high-end product from a low-value waste. And the low-value waste is mainly the shopping bags and things that are not going anywhere else. So it's just not the product, it's also the value that it's adding in our lives. And we aim to build it more premium to premium, so it can generate and has a self-sustaining market in future. So that the rest of people can also go for it and can also see that it's a real cause, and they can also collect the waste and they can also recycle it. So but this is very important that you pioneer it. That's what we are doing at Ecobricks in Pakistan.
I think that's wonderful, and that's so motivating as to how your journey started when you were just a student and looking at your environment. You came up with the product, set up a facility, and have an entire infrastructure that is now working in eliminating plastic waste in tons every day. So that is huge. So kudos to everything that you're doing. And I think these are initiatives that have to be taken at an individual and an enterprise level, to eventually, as we say, save the planet. So it's like one small step at a time. So thank you so much for your insights, Kashyap. We'll also come back later with any closing thoughts that you have in terms of innovative and solution oriented approaches towards this bigger problem. But we now like to move to Abdul Shakur, use the directive Go Curve Up. And I think, Michelle, you can lead this session as to how it is very important for other enterprises who are working as consultancies or maybe who's working as incubators or accelerators to support these initiatives. So, Michelle, you can take the floor, set the narrative around it, and then Abdul Shakur would be over to you.
Yes. So Go Curve Up is a consultancy that's supporting innovative solutions like this, entrepreneurs like this. They recently also organized Please Hack, and Tayaba also participated in that. And it's such an amazing initiative to provide the much needed support that ecopreneurs need to create lasting change. So, Abdul Shakur, why don't you share with us what Go Curve Up is doing and what is your role and what is basically how do you support such initiatives? And what do you think are the policy gaps? What do you think how collaboration can help further promote such initiatives?
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Zoha. Um, yes, and thank you for the opportunity to speak and collaborate with the organization. And yes, as Curve Up, we are a private entity. We enable entrepreneurship and smallholder businesses to thrive in a sustainable environment. So here we get different types of enterprises representing different industries to working on different products and services. So in this chain of production and distribution to the consumer's consumption, there is a lot of moving parts involved. There is a lot of materials involved, and there is things like impact to the planet that is definitely involved. So we see how much positive impact can be created to the people and the planet with the products or services the entrepreneurs are offering. So here, many of these enterprises come to us on incubation projects as well as developmental projects in terms of it could be a training program, it could be a coaching session or a mentorship, or maybe participation in a hackathon. So here we advocate certain principles that is to become friendly to the planet and the people, and also to generate new ideas because it's at present we are living in a world where internet is accessible throughout, as well as artificial intelligence is taking over many things. So especially when running hackathons and when getting newer ideas from young people from Sri Lanka as well as outside Sri Lanka, we also encourage new innovations and new thinking to come into play. So there, we as an organization support how we can better uplift these thought processes to get into market. One key element I would see is thought processes being as a thought process is not going to help anybody. It has to be coming into the market so that it can create a difference. Like Speaker Talha mentioned, there is enormous negative impact that has been created by plastic towards the planet. It ends up in many places, even it ends up in many lives, including human beings. It is tested and proven the human blood has traces of microplastic, meaning it's inevitable, it's there everywhere, it's just bind with the humanity right now. So we need to think and come up with solutions how we can mitigate these scenarios. Um, the entrepreneurs I work with, we have collaborated with around 1,500 to 2,000 smallholder enterprises in Sri Lanka to develop their products into different spheres. Here we have identified plastic is a very challenging uh, topic or an inevitable material there where the entrepreneurs are used to use. Like Speaker Hasanka mentioned, it has to have a behavioral change because it's not only about the producer's behavioral change, it has to be the consumer's attitude on it as well. We do have policies like the extended producer responsibility and so many other policies which are centric to specific countries and the regions. But then again, the consumers as well as the producers being mindful about this can make a difference. Like Hasanka said, even a small difference can, lead to a small behavioral change can lead to a bigger change. Here, I would believe when the change happens within the enterprises and within the consumers, it can become the norm. Why we are used to use plastic because it has been a norm. Before it was invented, plastic wasn't the norm. After it was invented, now it's just become a part and parcel of our daily lives. So it has to be thought through. Even now, there are a lot of solutions coming into the market. For example, paper-made cups. But then again, as consumers, we need to think, is that actually a real alternative? Because inside the paper cup, there may be a plastic sheath in it. Where you put the hot water or hot beverage in it, there is going to be microplastic diffusion to the food you intake, and after you throw it, the environment takes that plastic. So we need to be mindful about the alternative products also which are coming into play, whether they are actual real good alternatives as a business as well as a consumer. So I would like to relate a story of one of our entrepreneurs. Uh, this particular person, a young boy who is coming from a farmer family, like any typical parents, his parents wanted to get him a job in the corporate sector. But surprisingly, this boy opted not to go to corporate, but to stay in farming. That is quite unnatural in Sri Lanka because most of the people are transforming themselves into corporate roles. But this guy, remained to do the farm. So what they do is they have cattle, they take milk and convert into curd. Curd is a type of yogurt. It doesn't involve much of a plastic because the curd are packaged in clay pots. And what we did was on one of our hackathon programs, we engaged him on product value additions and marketing, getting access to different marketplaces. And we even took him to Vietnam to see how other markets perform. And with the observations he got from there, he came back to Sri Lanka. He developed certain other value-added products, which he saw in other countries and which we in collaboration supported to get the thought process outside to the markets, which was a grand success. And then he went on to the extent to build a bio gas plant, where now his farm is powered by biogas. And this in collective has decreased his usage of plastic as well as his carbon footprint. And now one of his product, which is some sort of a popsicle, which has a plastic grabber. Now it's a novel problem now. Until now, we didn't have plastic in his business. Now, since a value addition done, there is going to be plastic to his business. This is inevitable. Now, how can we mitigate this? My point is we need to brainstorm, because when we get together, we talk about certain things, and also there is AI out there. You can ask AI also what solutions can be done. It's not only asking, you get the point and you try it out. So one such mechanism we came up with was, okay, we'll sell the product with the plastic, and we do a buyback program. You collect about 5 to 10 wrappers and give it to the seller, then you get one product free, something like that. First try it out. And this popsicle, typically school children buy these. So in that level, we can inculcate that thought to the children, because the change has to happen from younger age, because a paradigm shift, attitude change, or a behavioral change cannot be expected when you are used to it and you're grown old. It has to come from those children. So the next generations will better know how to reduce and reuse and go for better alternatives of plastic. So here it's a symbiotic relationship, not only the producer, also the consumer. We have to rethink of how to reuse and how to reduce and how to make a lifestyle in a way that is very favorable to the planet. And one of the elements I want to say, because now when producers think, okay, plastic is inevitable, it's going to cost a lot when we go for alternatives, and all these things are there. One such was that buyback program. It is not applicable to all industries across. It has to be thought through one by one. If there is a problem, okay, if it is drink manufacturer plastic bottles, okay, we can rethink of it the same about that. And if that is another type of business creating plastic, we can think of another. And so there are so many enterprises in Sri Lanka which have opted to, create different products from banana fiber. Banana fiber was something new to Sri Lanka. It wasn't, we didn't use it as much as, widely available as other alternatives. So it could be something alternative for nylon or certain products like that, rugs and all these many products, even bags they produce from banana fiber. And there is so many other plants, like plants growing in rivers and also seaweed. These can be converted into alternatives, but it takes time, and it takes time to embrace these products as well, because the products has to go on a concept testing, and the concept has to pass, because there could be many challenges with that. But entrepreneurship is about mitigating challenges. So we cannot simply, okay, this doesn't work and drop it and go. It has to be continuously done. Even one of the hackathons we had recently, it was a regional hackathon where 8 countries participated in it. The winner came up with a solution of alternative for Regiform boxes. uh, the team came up with a alternative which is produced by mycelium, which is basically mushroom, dehydrated and converted into boxes. Now it may have some challenges. Sometimes it can have fungus growth when exposed to the moisture. It may have, but still it's an innovative solution. We can get it to the market, we can test, and then it could fail, and it could, we can come up with different alternative thoughts and how to mitigate the situation and get it to the market. That thinking, putting into action is the most important thing right now. As the previous speaker said, I also appreciate the role played by Kashaf on plastic reduction, because she is working with multi-stakeholder partnerships. That is one thing which is very commendable, because multi-stakeholders come into play on a one motive, in order to preserve the planet to the upcoming generations. That is what exactly needs to happen. One party alone cannot do this. Only consumers cannot do this. Only producers cannot do this. Only the government agencies cannot do this. It has to be a collective of humanity as a whole to come up with solutions and a lifestyle which is sustainable to the upcoming generations. So I would like to also show, like Speaker Talha mentioned, there is no planet B. I would say there is no planet B. That is for sure. And also there is no plan B too. So we have to think, we have to act, and we have to uh, get that lifestyle in it, so that we can better manage the situations and have a prosperous world to the upcoming generations, because our children have to live with us, because there is a lot of diseases and created by these plastic contamination with the water, and it's affecting the wildlife, it's affecting the humans life as well, and the health as well. There are numerous diseases which are popping up, which our previous generations did not even see those diseases. So there are many things affecting. We don't want our children to be born with diseases. We need to, be mindful about preserving this planet to the upcoming generations for the humanity, as well as to the plants, as well as to the animals and all beings living. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that way, how you put the young generations and how they came up to like Please Hack with such innovative ideas, and then how now their product journeys will provide them with challenges, but how it's important to navigate those and to keep tweaking your product, as Mr. Sanko was also talking about. It's the product design that eventually has to transform within the spirit to bring change. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing, Mr. Shakur. That's wonderful at GoCurve as well. And I think we'd now like to move to another very localized initiative that we have here in Pakistan. It's called Poke Plastic, that is done by Mr. Dr. Sarmad. It's an initiative that is taken at the very localized, a very grassroots and actionist approach. So, how Mr. Shakur and everyone here was mentioning, it's not just about being on the paper, it's not just about the idea, it's not just about being in the policy, it's about executing it, it's about bringing it into action. So, Dr. Sarmad, over to you to tell about how you've conceptualized this idea, how you've been mobilizing society to do this, and how is Poke Plastic doing what the great work that it's doing now. So yeah, and all of the challenges that have also come as Dr. Your journey has been showing some challenges, maybe some disruptions as to Poke Plastic as well. How do you navigate those as well?
Thank you, Zoha, for such a wonderful intro. So I started Coke Plastic as a therapy. For your surprise, I was in like pre-depression phase some 2 years ago. So I used to go to Margla Hills and clean trash there. From there, I started going toward Hunza in my long weekends. Afterward, I started doing it in KPK. So it was very, very tough initially. Like people do not consider it as a problem. They do not see waste as a problem. They see it as like this is something you should not be bothered if it is scattered. If it is in not trash bins, government officials will also bother. But if it is in mountains, if it is in lakes, they do not see it as a problem. So I started doing it as a therapy. Then someone suggested me that you are putting time and efforts in this initiative, so you should start building a community. Basically, I met an American lady who is settled in Chitral. She came to meet me in Islamabad, and she said we should start building a strong community. Initially, I was posting it on Reddit in Islamabad communities or Lahore communities to initiate, because there we have some sophisticated youth who understand what is the issue. They are basically sportive people. From there, I gathered almost 1,300 volunteers in 3 months. So there are still people who are reluctant to this. Like I have 1,300 people, and when I post about some our upcoming cleanups, only 3 will show up, only 4 will show up. I guess initially they are big numbers. Like I was doing it all alone. Now I have 10 people, 15 people around me, and we are going to Margla or we are going to Ayubia, and we do cleanups there. My main target was youth, and in this time, in this Gen Z era, we can't force youth to pick up trash. Like they would never. There an issue. There is an issue of status. There is an issue of like ego. I had to face this issue. Like people used to consider me a municipal worker. That I am doing it because it is my duty. They never took me as a volunteer. So I started collaborating with skate communities, Skateboard Islamabad, and then I started commuting with Islamabad Run with Us, which is basically a hiking and trekking club. And then I collaborated with a cycling community. So in this way, I started trying to pull youth toward my initiative. And Alhamdulillah, 2 or 3 months ago, I have collaborated with KPMG, which is considered as one of the biggest audit firm globally. And I went to a bike tour to GB for 2 months. 1 month in GB and almost 20-25 days in KPK. And funny thing is, my cat was also traveling with me during this journey, and we did multiple cleanups. And Alhamdulillah, that was a very bold step to do in a society where like people are reluctant to accept you as a, I would say it in Urdu, as a kachra uthane wala doctor. Once my mother came to know that I in my free days, and she was like, "We didn't spend this much money on you to pick up others' trash." So these are like gross level issues I face, and of course I have to find solution on my own. And there are some major issues. Like whenever I go to some area and officials come to know about my visit, they would try to approach me in different way. Some positive, but many like they accept me to not criticize them or not judge their incompetency. Like I went to an area in KPK and I met an official from TMA to arrange some large trash bins in a remote village, which is getting popular now due to tourism. And the person sitting there said, "Why are you wasting your energy on a thing which has no solution? And who told you there is no solution to waste?" He said, "You can't." Then I told him about a recycling plant I am working in Shigar. Showed him progress. I showed him pictures. He was like, "Yeah, that's fine, but I would say you should not involve us in anything which would disturb our image. You should not force our work. Like if you place a trash bin and public start using it, it will become our issue to clean it regularly. We can't do it regularly because I don't know on what level he was talking to me. Like he was talking to me in a very childish way, but it was fine. It lagged my momentum to continue my work, but I have to on. And I believe one day I will be capable enough to handle all these challenges on my own. I also have some future plans. Like this week, I got my visa for Nepal, but I can't go there due to some reason. I want to clean Everest base camp, and I'm not sure when will I do it, but I will do it. So I hope I can also collaborate with some people in Pakistan to make it a bigger movement to involve some people who actually matters. And for me, that is youth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. That was very moving and that was very inspirational because what you've quoted are the real issues that any young entrepreneur or ecopreneur is facing in the space as to how maybe the initiative is not taken seriously. And I think this completes the circle back to how um, Sir Talha was mentioning about the issues. And I think one of the reasons why we've reached this tipping point is because the issue is not taken seriously, or maybe the issue is taken as another socio-economic or another status issue to not maybe deal with, or maybe people are not they're not hopeful enough that it can even have a solution. So let it destroy itself and destroy the planet or the people around. So I think thank you so much for everything that you're doing, Dr. Sarmad, and for your um, consistency in pursuing it, that you're still having future plans, you're still very excited to go and clean the Everest base camps. That's very motivating for us. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing, and we at Taiba are genuinely very proud of the work that you're doing and how you're navigating the challenges around it. So I think if coming back to Mr. Talha, now that you've also heard from a lot of ecopreneurs who are working around it, they're coming with initiatives and then the challenges that are associated with it. Now, if you look at the problem statement that you set, and now when you look at what's happening on the ground, how do you think we're going to bridge that? What should be the actionable steps? What should be your ending and motivating thoughts to maybe anyone who's operating in the space of how even a small step can make a change? So, any ending thoughts and opinions and point of view on bridging that gap? So, over to you.
Well, I always believe that sometimes we have to say things as they are, rather than sugarcoating it with very sound good to your ears. Whenever I look into the this side that the people are working remarkably. I mean, every one of you, Dr. Sharma, the peers from Sri Lanka, the everyone has a certain contribution into the solution. But again, we have to understand this thought process that back in 1950, we knew what is coming. Back at that time, everybody in the policy circles, into the government, into the corporate sectors, knew that emission of the carbon dioxide will generate a problem, but they did it. Believed on this capitalist system that within those markets we can generate certain type of solutions, and we always believed into that direction. Even UNFCCC have that similar mindset. They believe that only the market is the solution for the climate change rather than moving other way around. And I also genuinely believe that after 1950, once we knew everything was going on, and we entered into the great acceleration pathway, what we call the Anthropocene. At that age, we extracted something where like there's no tomorrow. And as you mentioned that we generated the problem, we know that it is a problem, but we didn't focus on it. But that's where I find people are focused on it. But again, when you look at the smart capitalist system, it always gives you an hope that some way in the future there is a solution which is there, and we only reach to that through technology. But that's not true. I mean, back in 1950 till now, we only increased the population number so that that population can consume the production materials which are generating from these capital materials, these factories, these industries, and so on. But like we know that for a soap we have 70 brands, and those 70 brands cater every population segment into the society. So it's not about the production, how the producers are doing, the consumer itself. We are the third generation. I mean, if you take the generation of 25 years of one generation after 1950, we are the third generation into this. So from the last 75 years, we are programmed, or we opened our eyes into this, that we consume these things without having this thought of understanding of it. Plastic, again, right now around the world is a promising industry for the profit, and that is not going to change. Even if you recycle it, when you downgrade plastic and upscale it into a different side, it's going to take a lot of capital from you. Like only in the recycling, it's 1.6 times more expensive. So by doing this, you are putting the burden onto the consumer, that either you can consume this, or whenever you go to a shopping mall, they give you a choice that you can pay 30 rupee for a paper bag, or you can take this plastic bag. Like some of us which studied this, which have this conscious connection with the nature, can understand what is the difference between the plastic and the paper. But most of us do not have that understanding. Why? Because in the last 70 years, we only increased the consumption. So by doing this, if you do the math, no matter what kind of remarkable solutions are there, and I truly appreciate it that people are investing their time on it. But again, the production size is humongous. We are consuming not one Earth, 1.7 times of Earth. And what we are recycling is only 9%, not even 100%. So no matter what kind of solution you put into this equation, you will end up with a major problem that's exactly right in front of us. So my final thoughts to this whole discussion is, it's good to work into those solutions, but again, they are also based market-based solutions. That integrity part of it, that we need to decouple ourselves from this production side. We should not produce plastic. I mean, one of my peers said we cannot replace plastic sometimes. That's because it is cheap and it is good for the business. That's why you cannot replace it. And that's why we have this problem, because plastic is cheap, it's available, it's abundant, and it's consumable into every manner wherever you want to consume it. So that's is the major problem itself. The property of the plastic, it's the similar. When back in early 90s, we have this narrative that the global population is going to collapse. But again, biotechnology gives us genetic modified seeds. Those seeds increase the production of the crop, and now we can sustain 8 billion population with the similar land, or with the increased land. So that we thought at that time it was a solution. But now today, if you look at the agriculture side, the agriculture is not persistent without pesticides. The soil is unable to grow anything if we do not put those chemical materials into it. So we addicted ourselves to a solution which was not even there at the first place. That's the similar thing which is happening with the solar panels. That's like the solar panels are good for 20 years, but then after what? After 20 years, when we have a better technology, what will we going to do with these solar panels which we have? In Pakistan, we have around 13 gigatons of solar panels right now. Our consumption pattern is changing. So once they are outdated, what we are going to do that? So we need to understand it holistically, that the problem is not is into how we consume things, because we are programmed to consume. There's no other way. We are consumers. We produce and consume at the same time. But we need to understand this, that what is the value system of my life? What is the reason of being? If I'm solely responsible for my own consumption, it's not like that. I'm only responsible for I know this thing. If I do not tell you these things, that plastic production itself, a production of it is a problem. Exactly the problem like the extraction of the fossil fuel. The problem is not the consumption of the fossil fuel, it's the extraction of the fossil fuel. If we do not extract, we can be a better citizen to this planet. And that's all I want to say, because in the last 70 years we are programmed in this way. We need to decouple ourselves in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Talha, for sharing the reality the way it is. We also believe that solutions should not be creating more waste, which is also why we named it Help to Zero Waste Solutions. That the solutions we're implementing today should be programmed in the long run, so that they don't create problems for us later, which is something that we also really value at Tayaba. And we all of our solutions, we plan ahead. We think of how in the future, how can we make them, how they can be reused, recycled, and how do they not contribute to the problem even more? So thank you for stating the reality. Thank you for sharing that. Um, Mr. Hasanka, would you like to build upon this? Because we have already discussed that this requires a collaborative effort. This requires an effort at a personal level, but also at an entrepreneurial level, at a business level. So how do you think, of course, we need to stop using plastics. That is the main solution. But in a practical way, how do we move towards that?
Yeah, and I think just before we begin, I think because we're already over time, just that if we can keep it brief, we can do like a rapid fire. Ending thoughts, what is the actionist approach that we take? So yeah, we just like if everyone could keep themselves a little more brief, because I think we're over time as well. Yeah, over to you. But we'd love to hear everything that you have. Yes.
Sure. So I think Talhan has loudly like narrated what needs to be done. So I have very less to add, because we all the main point is to beat plastic. So we need to stop the tap, right? Otherwise it will pour again and again. But my thought is like we will only live like for 60 to 70 years. So the minimalism and the collaborations, like the if you run this symbiosis effect, so that will be the way forward. And then as much as we spend a eco-friendly livelihood, I think that's as an individual we can do. And if you run a business, my advice is you look into your carbon footprints and your inputs and then your outputs, and then try to make it more green, and then try to reduce whatever the leakages. That's exactly what you can do, because otherwise you need to find disruptive, innovative solutions, like game changers, right? Because incremental changes does not solve the current problem. So you need to find disruptive solutions. So all the large scale companies has to focus on that. And then the governments has to come up with strong legal frameworks to make sure that the sustainability, the conservation of environment, and impose very strong EPR, I would say. I do agree that it will increase the cost, but cost has to increase. My personal thing is, unless we preserve this, we talk about very high on safeguarding the world, but if we are doing something wrong, so there's a cost. So someone has to fix that cost. So that's it. And then last but not least, I would say the message is for everyone, those who hear this thing from Pakistan or South Asia region or whatever, various countries. So as Talha mentioned, uh, the total solutions lies with plastic alternatives. So why don't you think on the finding solutions? And then Shakur said about ideas has to fit into market conditions. So it's a journey. The validation is a journey. So think on how good your idea can be robusted. So you have a lot of obstacles and constraints. Even I am also facing those things at the moment when in my struggle. So, but don't give up. Make sure that you will find light when you have the disciplines, right? And then of those, believing in coming up with very sustainable solutions. Solutions and the profitability might have different negative correlation people might think on, but trust me, sustainability might cost, but sustainability also give you a lot of profits, because if you have the right sustainable solution, trust me, profits will be guaranteed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hasanka. That was great advice. Mr. Shakur, if you could also just give your one advice to all the up and coming entrepreneurs as a consultancy firm, what is your one piece of advice that you want to give, or one message?
Yeah, it would be being mindful about it, be educated and mindful. Like the other speaker said, this cannot be entirely uprooted from the system. One thing I failed to mention, which I think it's important to mention, is there are in Sri Lanka, even in other countries, there are certain markets being created around this topic we are talking about, reduce plastic and plastic less productions. For example, in Sri Lanka, there is this specific marketplace which is known as the good market, which enrolls only enterprises, entrepreneurs, and products which does not have plastic inclusion in their producers. Even the wrappers, the packaging, they don't want any sort of plastic. Trust me, there are 700 suppliers to that market, and that market is in central of Colombo, which there is a huge amount of people uh, purchasing from those from that market. The price of the product is relatively high, yes, but there is a market who is willing to purchase and who have adapted to that lifestyle, who go into these markets to purchase these things. So that I see it as a shift in the mindset where some sort of a community has adapted to it and working on it. So it's not a, maybe I won't say it's a larger level change, but for a city, 700 producers coming into the giving market producers to the market, and there's huge amount of people uh, demanding for these products. And a few days back, I introduced some of these enterprises who don't use plastic and who have better practices to this market, and we enrolled those products to them. That is now 700 plus a few. So these, when I talked with the founder, she says there are certain products which the market has excess demand for it. So meaning there are people who are, constantly coming up with wanting these type of products, and they are willing to pay the price, but it's not the masses. It's specific markets. So like this, we can, see into smaller changes, which can lead into, better market approaches, better perception of the consumers as well as the producers. So in a nutshell, I would say being mindful about our own actions, not only businesses we do, it's the daily lifestyle, the routine we have. Being mindful would be a contributory factor to this world to be a better place.
100%. I think it's very important to understand the problem, as we say, and then when we get into product development, be mindful of what you're producing, looking at the long term. So, I think great insights for everyone who would be watching it, and understanding how beating plastic pollution should not just be a hashtag or should just be talks around it, to actually get into action and look at it from a very reality lens, as Mr. Talha was mentioning. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Mr. Talha, Mr. Abdul Shakur, um, thank Dr. Sarmad and Kashyap, who joined us, shared their information and their insights, and as to how it gives a lot of hope to every organization and every individual working on the Nexus, that it's okay, stay consistent, do not give up. It's a big challenge, as we say in reality, to solve. But every step, even a very small step at an individual level in a very daily lifestyle, could really help tackling with this giant monster. So thank you everyone for joining. We'll see you guys in the second episode of the webinar on the Please Hack innovation that has happened with their winners, with their regional winners, and our own H-2-0 team to share their experience and what sort of solutions we are bringing in to beat plastic pollution. So stay tuned with the second episode of Help to Zero Waste Solutions webinar. Thank you everyone for joining, and we tune out. Bye bye. Thank you
Thank
everyone
you.
for your
Thank
insights.
you. Thank you.
Okay.